Thanks for your time.
You're
Um,
welcome.
Gio Reyna is back with the team. I was wondering, he has not played a lot for Gladbach. What do you see in him that potentially could add to this team? And basically, why did you invite him back into camp? Thanks.
Yes, no, you're welcome. I think we already know Gio, the potential of Gio, and the talent. He has enormous talent, and it's true that he's not playing too much. But I think it's a good opportunity in November because after until March we are not going to be together again and to have the possibility and not too many possibility to see him again and to try to share time with him more than to perform on the pitch is more about to to be with him, to share time, to know better him. I think he's a special player. And we know all know the situation last season that was difficult for him. He didn't play too much. He was injured, and I think now he's doing a great effort to change the environment, to change the club, and the effort to be fit, to have the possibility to play in the national team. I think is a thing that to say, that to give the possibility to come with us and try to get motivated and to give the motivation to arrive with the possibility and the belief that he can compete for a place in the World Cup. I think it's no doubt that he's a special player. He's a very talented player. I think that is why we need to be open and to provide, even if he's not playing too much because he suffered. He started playing, but and then he was injured. Now we start, to being fit again, and I think can be a boost of motivation for him to be with us. That is important thing for us.
Next will be Doug McIntyre from Fox.
Thanks, Michael. Hello, Mauricio. Thanks for your time as always. Forgive me for asking about players that aren't here. I'm not
No
saying,
problem.
not saying I think they should be here. Just curious why they're not. Chris Richards, Weston McKennie, and especially Yunus Musa, a player maybe similar to Gio in a way that he has a history with the national team of playing well, but isn't playing much for his club at the moment. Thank you.
Yes, I think different situation, different type of players. We have different knowledge about different players. I think Gio is in a special situation. I think, like you say, Chris, Weston, or Yunus, we really know them. For different reason, we decide not to call. But specific in Gio, I think, because we have the desire and the expectation to be with him and share time with him. But in the rest, I think I can explain every single situation. But I think it's too many players that we are not calling that maybe should be here with us. But always, what we want is to do the best for the player. To be in a very good condition, and then to have in March, and of course when arrive the moment to select the roster for the World Cup, to have to be in the best place, in the best form, in the best shape, to have the same possibility to be selected.
Next is Henry Bushnell from Yahoo. Sorry, Henry, The Athletic.
All good. You did it. Thanks, Michael. Hi, Mauricio.
Hello, how are you?
You have said in the past that players need to earn their place in this team. They need to perform with their clubs. So when you call in a player like Gio, who hasn't been playing much, do you worry at all that contradicts or undermines your message?
No. I was explaining. Pepe is not playing too much last month. He came from an injury. Scully was playing and not playing. I don't know. I think we can go to different player than sometimes struggle to play. I think the most important is to try to help them. What I say, the ideal situation is that all our player, nearly 100 players that we were chasing and follow and assessing, and we analyze every week. The most important is if they play every single game, it should be amazing for us. But I think we need to understand that sometimes some players struggle to play, but can be important for us. That is why it's not contradictory. My message is not a contradiction. I say that it's important because we are so close, and we are a coaching staff that we start 1 year ago. And for different reasons and circumstances, we didn't have the possibility to see all the players with us, perform with us, and behave with us, and to explain how we expect from them. That is why it's a good opportunity now to play like Gio, that is special. I think we are going to be agreed that it's a special, player, is to give the possibility to be with us. That is not a contradiction message.
Next will be Jeff Carlisle from ESPN FC.
Thank you, Michael. Hello, Mauricio.
Hello.
Obviously, the issue of time has come up ever since you were hired, given that you were hired midway through the cycle, as well as the fact that there have been a lot of injuries within the squad. To what degree are you concerned about having enough time with your full roster before the World Cup? I mean, to what degree is that a concern for you?
No, I am not concerned about that. I think we are settled the principles, and I think the team is respond very well, and I think the core of the player, I think they understood, and the player that maybe knew that going to arrive now, like maybe Gio that didn't spend time with us too much, I think is going to adapt so quick. I think that is the most important thing. That is the time that we have, and we are not going to complain. We cannot give excuses to ourselves in case that not to perform. I think we have time enough. We need to be intelligent, and we need to give our best to perform. It's up to us. I am not worried. I think that is the time that we knew when we signed, and I think what you say is a fact, that is we suffered too many problems, injured players that not play too much. That is, of course, it's difficult, but I think we can deal with that, and I think we are going to build a very good roster, very good team that can compete in the best way.
Next will be Jonathan Tannenwald from the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, Mauricio. Always good to talk with you, and thank you for the time.
Well,
I wanted to ask you similarly about Austin Trusty, what you have seen from him in what is of late only limited minutes at Celtic, what you've seen from him. And I was also hoping that you could clarify a little something to what you said a minute ago or so as to whether Weston McKennie is about his having a new manager and maybe it being better to spend time with him. Those two players. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I think we start to to have the same you and us, like a coaching staff and federation. We start to feel the way to build that journey until the World Cup in the same way. Because I think in your question is the answer, no? I think Trusty wasn't playing too much, or wasn't playing. Cameron was injured after a Champions League game, and he started to play, and he played really well. I don't know if you see the game again, Rancher, and he was the man of the match on the game, and he played really well, and that is good, no? And because I think we are a little bit short in that area, I think he deserved to be and give again the possibility to perform. Important is to see in the way that the player perform day by day, week by week, game by game. That is okay. It's a massive show for us, yes, but that is our responsibility: is to see every single player, assess, to be right in our selection, and in the way that we build the roster. The balance is really important, and I think player like him, I think he deserves. And like you say, with a new coach arriving in a new club, you can see that Weston is playing all the games, different position because he was playing in a different position. But now I think this next few weeks, with the possibility for the new coach to work with the player there and not to compete, I think it's important for Weston is to be there and try to convince the coach that keep playing. I think it's more important that maybe be with us, because we already know what he can provide the team.
Next will be Ron Blunt from the Associated Press.
Hi, Mauricio. Threefold question. First, with Christian likely being dressed for Milan this weekend, was there any consideration to have him come in for this camp? And then with Anthony Robinson, are you starting to get concerned that he might not be fit before the World Cup?
Okay, the first with Christian, after that he suffered a small issue, against Australia, I think we consider it not to call, because I think it's no common sense to call a player that maybe is coming from. It's true that it was a small injury, but I think is to provide him the possibility to recover 100%, be full, and be ready to play after the international duty with his team. That is common sense. We never risk player. He play against Australia because he really feel really good, and because all the assessment from our doctors and medical staff was right, and the player was agree with us. Like the first game he didn't play against Ecuador because he came to the camp with some problem that he made again with his club in Italy. That is why we care about him. But that can happen because always when you play a game, always is not zero risk. Always when you play and the man of the game, always, even if you are okay, no problem, you can be injured. And then in the situation that you asked me, the second situation of Christian and
Now I'm forgetting. Hang on one second.
the second, which player you asked me about also?
Let me
Oh,
get
there, Anthony.
Anthony. Yes, the situation of Anthony, we are in contact with Fulham, our medical staff, with the medical staff of Fulham. Yes, we are worried, of course, I think, because he is now for a long period that cannot play, or when play after he didn't feel comfortable. Yes, of course that we want a quick recover and be ready again to play and to compete. But at the moment, he is still recovering from his problem.
Next will be Ryan Talmadge from Goal.com.
Thank you, Michael, and hi, Mauricio. You spoke a little bit about Christian's situation, and obviously that was a talking point in Europe, whether Milan would be happy with you to call him in. And there's been discussion from Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace saying that he was a little concerned with Crystal Palace with Chris Richards' workload. You've obviously managed on the club level, and as a club manager, you spend your whole international break praying that nothing bad happens and that everybody comes back okay. But now, on the other side of this, what is that like for you? How does that kind of impact your decisions, and how did that kind of impact your decisions during this window?
No, what we cannot afford is people pay the frustration with the national teams. When we were in different clubs, I think you need to accept the rules of the FIFA, of the football, and I think we are all agree that sometimes players are playing too much, but in the same time we like when the federation or the club pay our salary, on the end of the month. That is why we need to accept. We cannot be hypocrite, I think, in all these situations. I think Milan or Palace, they are not right to complain, because I think if a coaching staff that care about the player, we are the first that care. And we never made to play a player with some doubt. Never. And then, I don't know how they work or how the people work, but I think our medical staff is always in contact with the medical staff that all our players and all the clubs that we have players that can be involved in the national team. I think to pay the frustration with the federation or with the people, I think or with the national teams, that is not right. That make me feel very disappointed because I am very respectful with all the coaches, with all the clubs, and with all of course, the first for the players and the fans. Some comment, I don't know from where come, but I think is to make, I want to say that I want to make sure that, and the player knows, that is the most important thing. The player knows how we act with them, how respectful we are with the clubs and with the players, with the player and with the clubs. And when something happens, we are the first that we feel pain, no? Because we don't like when the player get injured. That is why I think our responsibility is to, is to care about them, but also we need to care about our responsibility. When you are a coaching staff of the federation and you are qualified for a World Cup, if people say that, oh, it's a friendly game, no, that is wrong. We are not playing friendly games. We are playing games that is going to prepare our journey to the World Cup. If not, okay, we play with the under 20, or why we are going to play games? Okay, that is, is in some point make me very, very sad because I think sometimes people doesn't understand, or maybe because they don't think a little bit about what means to have the responsibility to represent a country, a national team, in that case USA, and also in a club. I was in different clubs for more than 15 years working, and always I was very respectful with all the national team, accepting the rules. Look, I think the most important, the player know how we act and how we respect, and they respect that because we are very clear in our communication.
Next will be Daniel Schwartzman.
Thank you, Michael. Hola, Mauricio, qué gusto de saludarte. Te quiero
Igualmente.
preguntar por Alejandro Sendejas, que está pues ya recuperado, parece que va a jugar con América este fin de semana. No lo llamaste, te quiero preguntar si fue por la lesión o porque ya te ha demostrado de lo que es capaz. ¿Qué nos puedes decir de Alejandro? Gracias.
También es otro de las situaciones que no queremos poner en riesgo a nuestros jugadores, ¿no? Y también Alejandro ya lo conocemos, lo que puede aportar, y saliendo de una lesión pensamos que era lo mejor dejarlos también en una situación estable, en sobre todo no correr ningún riesgo, ¿no? Así que por eso no lo hemos llamado también.
Next will be Charlie Bohm from MLSsoccer.com.
Hello, Profe. Thanks for your time. I have two questions, if that's okay. The first thing was to ask how you factored into the MLS playoff schedule with your selections of the MLS players. And the second was to follow up on something you said to BBC in the interview that was released this week about missing the Premier League and the challenges of the rhythm of international play and being away from the players, and how you sort of manage that different rhythm of work, and if there's any way to overcome the lack of face-to-face time with your players by remote communications. Thank you.
The last part of the question I didn't understand.
So you talked in the interview about lacking the day-to-day contact with your players and having to fit so much work into the small windows.
Okay. And now the first part was the
MLS
playoffs.
The MLS. No, the situation of the MLS, we knew about the playoff now. I think is what we need to do. I no complain about that. I think I need to be positive and to try to help in the best way to the player to perform in all the players that are involved in the playoff, and of course to perform for our national team. That is, I think, is common sense. But that is how is the situation, and we are going to be positive in this situation, and I think we can deal with that. With my comment in BBC, I think is an interview that made here in England. And of course, for me, Premier League is the best league in the world. And of course, I was involved for 12 years in different clubs like Southampton, Tottenham, and Chelsea. And it's normal, to miss the good time. When you spend very good time in some place, I think you will miss. Or maybe if you ask me in 5 years, and maybe after, imagine that maybe I extend the contract and I another 4 years in USA. And then, I move after 7 years, I move, or 6 years, I move to another league. And they ask me, how you feel about to be when you were manager of the national team of USA? Yeah, I miss, of course, because I spent very good time. I spent a very good time here. And when you spend good time, always you miss the good time, like we all, happen in our life. And it's true, the contact of the player, when you are during, say, 7, 8, 9, 10 days, and then you need to wait 1 month, or now we are going to be spending 10 days in Philadelphia and Tampa, and then until March you cannot be together, because yes, you can have contact by phone, message, go to visit, but never is the same that when you are working, and that is why you miss the most. And because in the way that we work, in the way that we like to work, in the how we build our relationship with the player is really important, to have contact every day. But in the same time, we are learning into build and develop our relationship in different way. Never is the ideal world, but I think we will try, to evolve like a coaching staff and thinking in different strategies to provide the player the possibility to think in us and to be present, even if the distance and they are in different environment. I think thinking in the national team and thinking in what we expect from them, no?
Just one point of information, 9 players on the November roster are still currently involved in the MLS playoffs. We'll continue with Pardeep Khatri.
Hi, Mauricio. Thank you for your time. I noticed on the roster that Diego Luna was listed as a forward. Can you explain why you made that choice and what about his style of play, makes you feel like he has that versatility?
Why I call him now?
No, he's listed as a forward on the roster instead of as a midfielder.
Well, I think he for me, he's an offensive player. You say to me, he's an offensive midfielder that can play like a second striker, that can play on the side, like a winger, like a number 10. I see him more an offensive than an midfielder, that only can contain the ball and play. I think he's a player, even if you want to play him a little bit more deep, he's a player that has the capacity, the continuity in every single situation to arrive to the box and to try to score goal, because his mentality and his characteristics is every time that we are in possession, he wants to score. And when a player has this mentality, he's a striker, he's an offensive player. That is why he's in that place.
Thank you.
We will take a couple more questions and continue with Sam Spencer.
Hey, Mauricio, thank you for the time.
You're welcome.
I wanted to ask you about having 5 people on the team, not just still in the MLS playoffs, but are currently in the Hell is Real Derby between Columbus and Cincinnati. So, what is it like taking players who are playing in a derby and having them turn around and come on the national team?
Which is the derby with Columbus and Cincinnati. We have 5 players.
Yes,
on the roster from those 2 teams.
And the question is
how do you manage them? They're competing against each other in the playoffs one day, and then they'll be flying out to be on the roster.
I think they are very intelligent guys. and they know that they need to compete and try to fight for their club. But then when we arrive to the national team, is we are all USA players. The national team is always above us, and I think it's perfect synchrony in the way that we, I think, evolve. We are evolving like a group. When the player arrive, they only think in the flag, and in the badge, that is, we need to defend and we need to fight for our country. I think, of course, sometimes I'm shocked, but they are so intelligent and they deal very well with the situation, and we help like a coaching staff and stuff, and to try to create that good atmosphere in every single camp, and of course in training, and of course when we are going to compete.
Next question comes from Michael DeCourcy.
Yes, thank you, Mauricio. I wondered if you could explain, without Christian here, without Chris Richards, without Wes, etc., obviously Jedi unavailable, what is the value of this window with the dwindling number of windows that you have, the dwindling number of preparation games that you have? What can you guys get out of this as a unit?
Always is about to try to win, but the important thing when we assess all the single situation is to provide the player the best platform for them to go into the period, like you were saying to us, Chris Richards or different players, because the schedule for the next few months is going to be so busy. And I think wasn't easy because we had a lot of discussion about that. But I think the priority always needs to be the player. And only one example, because we cannot go to another. I think we suffered some injured player, but I think in that case, Chris Richards deserved to be, not to be called and be, in his club. And after the camp in Denver, I think we decide that not to call. I think we really know and his leadership on the team, but I think the most important now is to provide him the possibility to play, to recover in his club, and not to take a risk, because I think we want to win, and for sure we are going to give the possibility to different players that the chances to perform and maybe to present the possibility for them to be called in the future, and to try in this to give the opportunity in an international duty to give experience some player, because you never know what can happen before to announce the roster for the World Cup, and sometimes that is a moment, or maybe that should be a priceless moment to provide some player the possibility to play in an make international appearances, and that can be very important and decisive, and then in a tournament that you don't know how the player is going to arrive. No.
Last question comes from Paul Tenorio.
Thanks, Michael, and thanks, Mauricio. A player we haven't seen in a year is back in Ricardo Pepi. Fought back from injuries, getting back onto the field now at the club level. Last time we saw him with you guys, he was scoring goals. What does it mean to have Ricardo back in the team, providing competition? What do you hope to see from him in these 2 games in November?
This type of player that are very talented player that we're talking about, Gio and now Ricardo, is to provide the boost on the motivation for them to keep pushing, keep improving. They need to have the motivation that we care about them. I think that is the most important. When the players are good in their mind, I think it's important to improve the legs, and the physical condition. And they need to know that they are in the race for the competition and for the place to be in the roster in the World Cup. And that is, I think, for us the most important thing. And then they can play more or less, but the important thing is they need to give their best to try to arrive in the best shape, to be, like animals, and feel really strong, and to arrive in a competition that is going to be, the most important competition for us, in the history of the national team. And that is the idea that we want to translate to them.
Thank you, Mauricio, and thank you everyone for joining us today. We will have the video of today's press conference available later today, and the media availability schedule will be out tomorrow. Thanks, and have a good weekend.